So this video, there's not going to be a ton of fish. I caught one fish on each rod. It's just a review of the Sixgill rods that I bought. So let's go ahead and get to it.
Jerkbait fish. There he is, got him on the jerkbait. Yep. Alright. There he is right there, not a bad little largie. On the Akylos, if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't even know if I pronounced it right from the beginning. Jerkbait rod. It definitely feels like it definitely has some moderate to it. So there he is. There he is. Oh yeah. Right there on the bank. Yeah, buddy. Old KVD crankbait. He was right there on the edge. That was on the Cypress rod. The Sixgill. There he is. Fat old belly. So the first thing I want to say about these rods is the craftsmanship seems to be really well. They seem like they're really well made. You might see some dirt or something on these rods because I've been fishing with them the last couple days, but like the wrapping on these guides seem to be done extremely well. This is the Akylos. And then these would be the wrappings for the Cypress. The two-footed guides there. Same thing on the Akylos. They got the same exact guides. Fuji, 2-footers. But I just thought their craftsmanship on these rods was pretty darn well. Everything seems to be tight and just well made. I'm really digging these rods. Let's go ahead and get into the review. Alright everyone, let's talk about these rods a little bit from Sixgill. I got the Akylos 7-foot medium heavy moderate fast action. It does 1/2 ounce to 3/4 as far as weight of lures. I got this for pretty much all my treble hook baits, crankbaits, jerk baits, rattle traps, flat-sided crankbaits. That's what I got this rod for. So this is made out of 24-ton Japanese carbon construction. It has Fuji reel seat. It has Fuji guides. This one here has the exposed reel seat on both sides, as you can see there. It also has the wind grips. As far as castability with this, I felt like you could launch the crankbaits and jerk baits and everything pretty well with this. I used the KVD J300 and I also used the KVD J200. They both, like I said, seemed like you could really launch the bait. That was really nice to get it way out there
You know, as you're working it down, those jerk baits, you can get them down deep the further you get it out, if those fish are sitting deep. So the castability was really good on this. Now as far as working the bait, it has a moderate fast action, so it's in between a moderate and a fast. I'm used to fishing a fast action jerkbait rod, so if you're not used to fishing a moderate fast, it's going to take a little time getting used to it because that tip's got more give. So like if you run into some grass or you run into the bottom, some rocks or whatever, it can kind of feel like there's a fish there because that tip gives more. So that's something I'm still trying to get used to with it. One thing I seem to notice with the Akylos rod that I got for the jerk baits is because it has that moderate fast tip, it gives that jerk bait a little more action, which, you know, I thought was pretty cool. Rather than that fast action, it's kind of almost, it's not really like a dead stop, but the tip doesn't flex as much as that moderate fast. So when you're cranking on that bait, you know, ripping it through the water, that tip gives more, which in return gives the bait more action. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing, and you know, maybe cause some more reaction strikes with a little bit more action, and you know, put into the bait by that softer tip. I do enjoy the rod. I think it's a really good treble hook rod. That moderate action is also supposed to help from keeping the treble hooks from ripping out of the fish's mouth, if you don't already know. When the fish hit it, I could tell it knocked some slack in the line. I went ahead, set the hook once I figured out he was there. And I felt like the rod really kept the fish pinned real well. I felt like it had some really good backbone to it. As I was reeling the fish in, it didn't feel like it, you know, like it flexed too far down the blank or anything like that. I thought it was a really good rod for treble hooks with that moderate fast. Like I said, something I'm still getting used to. So if you're not used to fishing a moderate fast action rod for jerk baits or treble hook baits, it's probably going to take you some time getting used to it. I've fished it the last couple of days, and I'm kind of starting to understand the feeling of grass and, you know, the bottom, you know, versus a fish. But I really like the rod. I think for the price point, it's really good. I think it's somewhere around like $130. So I think it's a really good rod if you're in the market for it.
The other one that I picked up was the Sixgill Cypress in medium power. It is fast action. It does 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce as far as lure weight. So those are the two that I picked up. This one has obviously the cork here. And this is also made out of 24-ton Japanese carbon construction. Again, Fuji guides. This is also a Fuji reel seat, but it's not the exposed model like the previous one I just showed you.
I pretty much got this for like soft plastics, you know, weightless, drop shotting, wacky rig, whether it be weighted or weightless. Pretty much any soft plastics is what I got this for. Castability, I feel like it casted the weightless well. I feel like it casted the weighted wacky rig well. The drop shot, you know, I was using like a 3/16 ounce. Felt like it should have casted a little bit better with the drop shot. But I still really like it for the drop shot. And the thickness of the blank is pretty much, for the medium, is pretty much the same thickness of the medium heavy. So these rods seem to run maybe a little heavy. So I didn't catch any bass on any soft plastics, but when I was using the drop shot in the weightless, I'm assuming it was some kind of panfish. They seem to be real small, but you could feel the nibble. So these rods definitely seem to be sensitive. I do like this rod here for soft plastic as far as sensitivity. Also with the Cypress, I could feel the bottom real well, rather there be rock or maybe some kind of grass. You could feel what was down there with this. So that's a good thing when using, you know, soft plastics or a drop shot or something, so you can kind of tell maybe what's down there, get an idea. So I also threw some crankbaits on this, anywhere from like the 1.0s to the 1.5s. I threw on this, the KVD crankbaits, and I think I even threw some 2.5s, not KVD, but a comparison as far as size. The larger crankbaits seem to really put a flex further down the blank here, when you would like try to rip it out of the grass. So I didn't really like the larger crankbaits for this, but I liked like the 1.0s and the 1.5s. The castability was awesome on the smaller crankbaits. You could really launch them out there. The retrieve with the crankbait seemed to be really smooth. And when that one fish bit it about, I'd say 6 foot or so from the bank, it seemed like it loaded up really well. It had plenty of backbone when I had the fish on. I didn't really feel any flex real far down the blank or anything. It seemed like it handled the fish real well and kept them pinned and just smooth bringing them in. I really enjoy this rod actually for crankbaits, as well as, like I said before, I think it's going to be good for the soft plastics. I typically use a Shimano Crucial, one of the older all black models, if you know what I'm talking about. I use one of their crankbait rods. I really like that, and I'm kind of thinking I like this more. Just bringing that fish in just felt real good on this rod. Like I said, it loaded up real well, had plenty of backbone. You know, the 2 fish I caught on these rods in this video were like right around 2 pounds. You know, it wasn't no 5-6 pounder, but you know, I don't think these rods would struggle to bring in any 5-6 pound bass. Honestly, I feel like they're really good rods. You should really check these guys out. Sixgill. I got them on a buy one get one free. So you can pick any line of their rods whenever they do that deal. You can go anywhere from their $300 rods down to their $100 rod. And it's buy one, like I said, when they do the buy one get one free, you're obviously going to pay for the more expensive rod. But you know, I paid $150 for 2 rods. I broke some this year on my boat. These rods are really, I got really from my kayak. I wanted some kind of kayak dedicated rods, so I didn't have to keep taking in and out of my boat and all that kind of stuff. One thing I forgot to mention is the handle length. And on the Akylos, it's 10.5. And on the Cypress, it is 10 1/4.